Before we get started, we need to make sure we have all of the pieces. You're going to cut your shibori piece into two 14 by 16 inches of fabric. If you don't know how to cut these pieces out, I will show you in a second. Before we get started, you are going to need a ruler and a piece of chalk. We're going to assume that straight line is a straight edge. We're going to line our ruler up to that straight edge. And then we are going to find the 14-inch line and make a mark with my chalk. You probably can't see the mark I'm making, so I'm going to animate it for you right now. Next, slide your ruler down. Doesn't matter how much, it could be a lot or a little, and you're going to repeat that step. Line your ruler up. At the 14-inch, you are going to make a dash, and then we are going to connect those two dashes to create a straight line. I'm going to line my ruler up with the dashes, and I'm just going to mark all the way down the ruler. Now I have a straight line. I have two straight lines. Next, I'm going to find the 16-inch part of my ruler and line it up with that straight edge, and I'm going to make another dash. And just like before, I'm going to slide my ruler down a little or a lot, line my ruler up at 16 inches, and make a second dash. Then I'm going to rotate my ruler, line it up, and make another dash. Well, straight line actually. Now that I marked all four edges of my 14 by 16 inch square, I'm going to take my scissors and cut around. I'll fold up the pieces I can keep and put it to the side. I have a 14 by 16 inch square. If you forgot to cut out that second piece, lay your fabric out, take the one you just cut out, and line them up. We'll use that newly cut piece to be a tracer. And then we will just cut around so we have two 14 by 16 pieces. Step 1. Sew the bottom seam. With the right sides together, take your two pieces of fabric, place them on top of each other. Line them up so the edges match. We are going to sew the bottom seam, that dotted line, with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm deciding which pieces of fabric is the side that I want to show. I like that side right there is the side I like, so I'm going to sandwich the right sides, the pretty sides, together. They're facing each other. The ugly sides are facing away from each other. I'm going to do that bottom edge. I'm going to sew that, just as the directions say. But first, I'm going to pin. I insert my pin just a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean like a third. And then I'm going to pop that pin out, and everything is held in place. I don't need to go crazy with the pins, just enough so the pieces of fabric don't move with each other. I'll line my fabric up to the 1/2 inch line. I'll backstitch, and then I'll sew down the edge. When the pin gets close to the foot, I stop. You can't see this, but I pull the pin out. Pin is close, so I pull it out until I get to the bottom edge. And then I backstitch. There's this thing on the side of the machine that will do the cutting for me. And there is that 1/2 inch seam allowance I sewed. Step 2, insert tabs. You're going to get two tabs from me, and you are going to fold them in half. You're going to insert the tabs at the bottom in between the two pieces of fabric. Make sure the cut edge of the tab lines up with the cut edge of the fabric, and then we'll pin it in place. So there are my tabs. There's my fabric. I'm opening the fabric, pressing it open with my hands, and I'm going to fold the tab in half. That cut edge lines up with the cut edge, and it's going to flop around and open. That's why we're going to take a pin and pin it in place. Fold it, cut edge on the outside, pin in place. Step 3, sew the side seams. We're going to sew the sides of your bag. Make sure the back stitch at the beginning and the end. Before we sew, I'm going to close everything up, and I need to pin those two sides. I already have a pin in, but I want to make sure it's closed, and I'm going to pin all of the layers together. I'm going to do the same thing on the other edge. I'm taking the pin out, and now I'm putting the pin through all of the layers. And now, just like before, I'm just going to put a few pins in place to make sure the fabric doesn't move on me. Make sure to line up the cut edges if they're a little off, and pin. We'll take it to the sewing machine, 1/2 inch seam allowance, back stitch, and pull pins out as you sew. We're going to back stitch again at the end, cut it, and repeat for the other side. Those are the two side seams. Oops, forgot to take the pins out. Step 4, turn the bag right side out. Turn the bag inside out so the right side of the fabric is now on the outside of the bag. This is what I do. I'm going to put my hand inside the bag outstretched. Then I'm going to grab everything. And then I am going to pull it all out. I'm going to push the fabric so it all comes out, especially at the corner. And I'm going to pull the tab gently so it completely is out as well. So the left side is what it should look like when we're done. The right side needs some work, so let's do that. Push everything out, pull the tab if you need to, and we're all done. Step 5, get the drawstring casing and iron. Get 2 drawstring casing pieces. With wrong sides together, fold each in half lengthwise, press. So here is the drawstring casing, and if you look closely at the edges, they are finished, and one side has this folded edge, and the other side is nice and flat. The folded edge is the wrong side of the fabric. So place that up the folded edge, and then fold it in half lengthwise. Lengthwise means that you're not sacrificing length when you fold. And then you'll press it. Make sure it lines up before you add the iron to it. You'll repeat this with the second piece. That folded edge is the wrong side, so fold it in and iron. There are your 2 pieces. Step 6, attach drawstring casing. Place a drawstring casing on the top edge of the shibori fabric. Have the cut edges of the casing line up with the cut edges of the fabric. Your bag is made of 2 layers. Pin the casing to the top layer only. So there's the finished bag. There's that top edge. And we're going to open it up because we're only using one side of fabric. That casing, the cut edge lines up with the cut edge, and also the edge lines up with the seam. You can have a little space like I do here, but I wouldn't go more than that. You'd rather have it perfectly lined up. Line it up and pin it. And that's what it's going to look like. We're now going to flip the bag over and repeat that. When you line this up, let me get close so you can see, you want to get close to the other casing. You don't want to overlap. Don't do that. So line them up close to each other, almost touching, and repeat what you just did. See, not overlapping, maybe a little bit of space, totally fine. Step 7, sew drawstring casing. Sew the drawstring casing and single layer of shibori fabric together. So here's our pinned stuff. We're going to sew around to attach the casing. I'm going to try to show you. You need to open this. It's hard to see. Give me a minute. There's this arm. It comes off the sewing machine. It makes sewing in a circle so much easier. So take that off. Then you're going to put your bag around the piece. And then just like normal, you line everything up 1/2 inch. Put your foot down. Backstitch and sew all the way around. Be careful, you want the fabric to be flat, so you have to check that every once in a while. When you get to the end, backstitch, pull it out, and this is what it will look like. You have that stitch all the way around. Step 8, flip the casings up and get string. Flip the casing up towards the top of the bag. Press. It should look something like this in the photo on the left. Now cut 2 pieces of string that are 2 yards long. There's the casing, and that's how we flip the casing up. And we like to press it in place. Flip the bag over, and repeat that. Flip the casing up and press. Next, you should get a yardstick that measures 36 inches long. And then you are going to hold your string and measure 1 yardstick for 1 yard. Hold your mark in place and drag it back to 0. Hold the string on the ruler and then stretch the string out to the end of the yardstick, and now you have 2 yards long. Cut at that spot. If you're a little off, it's okay. That's one piece of string. We need a second one. So grab more string. Instead of using the ruler, you can use your measured string and just make sure they line up at the right length. And cut. Now you have 2 pieces of string. They measure 2 yards. Step 9. Insert 1 drawstring. Attach safety pin to drawstring. Thread string up through the bottom tab. Bring it up to casing. Push safety pin through casing. Go all the way around. The string should exit in the same spot it entered. Bring it back down the bottom tab. Do not string through the tab. Knot strings together. So there's the safety pin. We're going to get 1 piece of string out. Attach the safety pin. You're ready to go. We're going to go through the bottom tab. And then we're going to go up and around the casing. This is how you make this work. Throw the safety pin into the casing, then find it with your hands. Then what you're going to do is you're going to scrunch the fabric by pushing with your left hand and holding with your right hand. Then you're going to pinch with your left hand and pull with your right hand. Scrunch, pinch, and pull. Repeat that until the safety pin comes out the other end. Now you are going to go through the other casing. Same process. And pull it out. You might need to stretch out the drawstring area. Things are a little scrunched. Be very careful when you start to pull it. You don't want it to leave that tab, the string. Leave a little space, and then you're going to pull the string through the casing. Next, you're going to line your string up, take out the safety pin, and knot it together. Look, it's going through the tab in one string, not both. Step 10, insert other drawstring. Attach safety pin to remaining drawstring. Repeat the previous steps. There's your string. Attach the safety pin. Just like before, you're going up through the tab. Then you're going to go up to the casing, and you're going to bring it through the casing. Pretend like the other string isn't there. And you're going to do that same scrunching. Scrunch, pinch, and pull. Pull it out, and then bring it back into the second casing. I like to put the original string down to the bottom. Bring it all the way around. Pull it through. Be careful. It helps to hold to both edges and then pull, and then you'll knot this. And there is your bag. I recommend holding onto the drawstring casing with your right hand and then holding on to the knot with your left hand and pulling the knot. Don't do what you see here. It's not as effective. And then you're done. Here's your finished bag. If you pull, it closes, and it's all done.